is up, everybody? Welcome back to Process Sports Radio. Once again, I'm your host, Justin Pooney. Hope you guys are all good. We have a week before Christmas. It's super hectic time for me right now. I just got back from Toronto. I got a whole bunch of Christmas shopping to do, but I'm happy to be back home. Happy to be back in beautiful British Columbia. Snow today. I guess I brought the snow from Toronto, but I'm happy to be home. Like I said, the grind doesn't stop. I'm going to be dropping this episode right now. Big episode, NBA preview show. NBA season starts tomorrow. What is going to happen, right? I'm going to cover all of that, who I think is going to make the playoffs, the play-in rounds, my award winners, all that fun stuff, right? First thing I want to get into, though, is thank you again for all your support through this year, 2020. I know 2020 has been a hugely roller coaster of a year, from ups, downs, mostly downs and stuff like that. With social injustice issues, racial issues, death, sports, all this crazy stuff. The one thing I do want to say from the bottom of my heart is I want to thank everybody for all their support they've given me throughout this whole year. Just from, starting off to reaching over 1,000 followers to seeing this brand get bigger and bigger and bigger, figuring out how to be better myself and producing content and creating content. I have the wonderful guests that we've had this year, all those people that came onto the show. Much love and respect to all of them. And then I just want to, wish all you guys a happy holiday and stuff like that. I know this year's tough, especially with the get together and big family gatherings and stuff like that, and all that comes along with Christmas time. We're not going to be able to have. It's sad and it's upsetting, but it is what it is. It's 2020, so thank you again for all your support. Best of luck for 2021, and I hope and I pray that 2021 is much better than 2020. Like I said, guys, this episode will be up on Spotify, Apple Podcast. That's the drill. You know that. YouTube, will be up on there as well. And of course, you know where to find me on my Instagram at Process Sports, on Twitter _Process Sports, Facebook, wherever. Check my website out. I might have a couple things. I have a couple of things of fundraising ideas starting up because it's to give to less fortunate, especially this time of year. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna try to figure something out like that. But without further ado, let's just get right into it. So one thing I want to explain to you guys is for this year in the NBA, it's going to be 72 games, but they also have a play-in tournament this year too. So the top 10 seeds in each conference are going to play, and the 7 and 8 seed are going to play in a play-in game. And the winner of that will take the 7th seed, and the loser will play the winner between the ninth seed and the 10th seed in a play-in series, right? So when I go through the standings, I'm going to give you guys my 1 through 10, and then who I think the play-in winners are going to be for each conference, and the playoff that will set the playoff bracket. So without further ado, let's go right into the Western Conference. Right now, I think the Denver Nuggets are going to take the first seed in the West. Not because I think they're going to win the title or anything like that, or I think they're going to be they're the best team in the West. I don't think that. I just think that Denver is at that stage where they want to get that respect. They're a young and up and coming team. They're not going to rest. They're not going to load manage, right? They're going to try to go for it. Not like the Lakers. The Lakers, of course, we know LeBron's going to rest. AD's definitely going to get his rest, right? The Clippers, we know what they're all about, load management. So I definitely think the Nuggets, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a big factor this year. I think Michael Porter Jr. Is definitely going to take that step up and definitely maybe even become a starter over Will Barton, because it looks like Will Barton knows that he's a starter. He doesn't want to come off the bench. So I definitely think that Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a big factor. And I definitely think that Denver is at that point where they're a super young, talented team, and they're going to go hard all year, right? And they're going to get that number 1 seed in the West, okay? Number 2, we have the reigning defending champion, the Los Angeles Lakers, who, quite frankly, got better, younger and better, which doesn't really happen a lot for championship teams, right? With the additions of Montrezl Harrell, who they stole from the Clippers. Then you got, Dennis Schroeder is another huge acquisition. Marc Gasol. You still got LeBron and AD, right? So I think the Lakers are in prime position again to make another title run. I think the reason I don't have them number 1 is because I think they're going to rest LeBron and AD quite a bit to get them ready for the playoffs, right? Of course, the seeding is still going to want to matter, but I definitely think the Lakers are going to be the 2nd seed in a perfect contention to make another title run. Next, I have a surprise for you guys is the Portland Trail Blazers. So I have the Trail Blazers finishing with top 3 seed simply because I love their offseason acquisitions. They got, first of all, they're going to come back healthy. Nurkic is going to be healthy. Zach Collins is going to be healthy. I love the addition of Robert Covington Jr. I think that's a great 3-and-D pick up for them. Of course, you have Dame, CJ. I think Melo's going to flourish in his role coming off the bench. I think Melo might be in consideration for 6th man of the year. He's going to get instant buckets off the bench. But think about this. When you think about Portland, it starts and ends with Damian Lillard. Portland goes as far as Damian Lillard will take them. And this year, like I said a couple weeks earlier, I think Damian Lillard is going to win MVP simply because he's going to go on a tear. He averaged 30 points last year. I think he's going to increase to maybe 32, 35 points, win MVP, right? I give him my MVP prediction from a little bit later on the show. But I think Dame's going to lead them to the top 3 seed in the West this year. And I think they're going to do some damage in the playoffs this year. Number 4, I have the Dallas Mavericks, who, of course, are led by the guy who I also had a feeling might win the MVP, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is entering his prime. Luka is special. Like, there's only thing you say about it. I love his game. Like, there's a reason why a guy like LeBron wanted to sign Luka to team LeBron if that ever happened, right? Because his game speaks for himself. His game is transcendent. What makes him so special, Luka's so special, is he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the tallest, but he controls the game at his tempo, and they play at his tempo. That is something that only certain small group of people can ever do in the NBA. And for the fact that Luka at such a young age can take the game, control it, and play at his tempo, unbelievable. Luka, of course, if Kristaps Porzingis stays healthy, you have Tim Hardaway Jr. I'd like to pick up Josh Richardson. I definitely think the Mavericks are going to be primed to do some damage in the playoffs as well. I actually have a surprise for you because I think within the first round matchup that's going to come, I'm going to tell you guys about later on. I think the Mavericks are going to stun a lot of people. So I got the Mavericks at the 4 seed. Then I got everybody's favorite team to hate on, the Los Angeles Clippers. I do think they're going to take a step back just because there's so much drama going on between, Kawhi, how he was acquired as a free agent, the Jerry West lawsuit, Paul George and his whole whatever the hell Paul George does, right? Paul George is, I don't know what's going to happen with him. He's such a caveat. Will he have a bounce back here? The Clippers are hoping that, but playoff time, can you trust them? I don't think so, right? Of course, you have Lou Will, Patrick Beverly, who are all upset about Kawhi and PG controlling the team, taking away the whole identity, plus Ty Lue's got to manage all those egos and stuff like that. So I definitely think Clippers have the talent for sure, but I just don't think they have it put together as a team. I think they're going to flounder. Now, this pick here could be the one that I could be the most wrong about, where the Clippers could actually come together and win a title, but I just don't see it happening, especially with all the drama going around with them. Next, I have the Golden State Warriors in the 6th seed. I think Golden State will make the playoffs regardless without Clay's injury. Of course, if Clay was healthy, I think Golden State would probably be a top 3 seed in the West, and I think they would probably give the Lakers the most trouble. I think Steph is going to be Steph, averages 27-plus points a game, be back to probably the greatest shooter of all time. Not probably is the greatest shooter of all time. He'll be back at that form. I think Andrew Wiggins is definitely going to take a step this year. I really hope and pray that Andrew Wiggins stops getting all this slander. People finally realize that, hey, man, this guy averages 20 points a game for his career, and he's playing in Golden State in a better system, a better environment, right? I think Andrew Wiggins' game is just going to flourish even more, right? He's going to be that second option for Golden State, and he's really going to help them out. Of course, you guys have Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, James Wiseman, stuff like that. But I think Golden State, they'll get in the 6th seed in the West. I don't know if they're going to cause any damage in the playoffs, but I think they'll have a solid regular season. Next, I have the Utah Jazz, the 7th seed. Of course, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Utah's a team that, for me, they're a very good, structurally good, very good team. Quinn Snyder's a great coach. They have a very good system. Of course, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. They're going to need Mike Conley to step up. Mike Conley had an awful year last year. So if Mike Conley steps up, that could be a big boost for them. I do think that it's going to be it's tough. I don't think that Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert are enough in the West to cause any damage, right? I think they're kind of a team that gets in the first round and gets knocked out every year, or unless they play OKC, which is not going to happen anymore. But I definitely think that Utah's a very good team, very solid team. They're just not special. They don't have a high ceiling in that aspect, right? Number 8, the upstart New Orleans Pelicans. I think Stan Van Gundy's going to be a very good coach for them. I think Zion's going to get healthy, shed some pounds. I love the addition of Steven Adams. He's a great veteran to have in the locker room like that. Plus, he's a really good center to have. He's reliable. I think B.I. is going to take another step up. And I think Lonzo Ball is really going to show everybody the true player he can actually be. Eric Bledsoe's a good backup to have. I like what the Pelicans are doing. The Pelicans are assembling a very nice team. And I think this is the year they finally get back into the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns. So the Phoenix Suns made big waves this year. They haven't taken the 9th seed, right? So Phoenix, of course, they acquired Chris Paul. They have Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. They have a lot of talent there, right? The West is so loaded. The Western Conference in the NBA is so loaded. There's so many great teams out there, and it's so hard for me to pick and differentiate. New Orleans is here. They got a lot of young talent. but Phoenix has got Chris Paul now, and it's like, oh. And I saw people putting like the Phoenix Suns in like the fourth seed in the West. I don't think that's gonna happen at all. I think Phoenix is gonna be, Chris Paul's getting acclimated into a new roster, Booker and him, that whole dynamic. How's that gonna work, right? So I have them finishing ninth, but hold on, I will get to them in a minute again. And number 10, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, that whole squad. I think they're a young and upcoming team. They just don't have the talent yet to really make a playoff push. So these are my play-in winners in the play-in round. So it'll be Utah versus New Orleans. I think New Orleans shocks Utah and takes the seventh seed in the West. I really like New Orleans a lot. And I think Utah in a play-in series, although Utah might be a better team and better coach, I think the firepower that New Orleans has and the way they might play in a close series, a quick series like that, a playing game like that, I think New Orleans could definitely shock them and take that seventh seed. And then would it be Memphis and Phoenix? Of course, Phoenix would beat them, no problem. And then I have Phoenix actually taking down Utah, and Utah falls all the way out of the playoffs as they lose from the seventh seed to out of the playoffs because they lose to Phoenix. Because I think the way Chris Paul plays in those big games and the way he'll be able to control that, and what it comes down to is this: Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker. Give me Devin Booker over Donovan Mitchell at any point in the time, right? So I would definitely take the Phoenix Suns to finish off with the 8th seed in the West, right? So just to recap, my 8 playoff teams in the West are going to be the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Portland Trailblazers, the Dallas Mavericks, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Phoenix Suns. Those are my 8 teams in the West. Now we go to the East. The East is pretty wide open, right? The East, I'd say from like 2 to 6 is a crapshoot on who can finish in between where, right? And the bottom, like the talent's kind of like pretty low at the bottom, right? So I'll run through the East. Of course, number 1, I have Milwaukee. They have Giannis. They have Jrue Holiday now. They're not. I don't have. I'm going to go straight off the rip right now. They don't have enough to go to the finals. I think. I don't like when your best player cannot shoot a jump shot in the playoffs when it matters the most. You're in big trouble, right? And that's what teams have done the last couple years in the playoffs to Giannis. They made him shoot jump shots and stuff like that, and he's struggled quite a bit. He struggled mightily. So I definitely think, although Milwaukee will be another great regular season to come first place in the East, they're not going to be a championship team that makes it to the finals. Number 2, I have the Miami Heat. Miami, I love what they do. I love how they built their roster. I love their team. I love Eric Spoelstra. If they get James Harden, this is a big if because I left Houston out of the playoffs. I think Houston's disaster waiting to happen. I think Houston, if they trim to Miami, Miami will lose to the NBA Finals, right? But it looks like the reports are saying he's not going to go there now. And it's that's something that's why it was even harder to pick the East because who do you know? I don't know who you know, but there's such a wild card with James Harden. What happens if he goes to the East? Who gets him? Does that elevate them to a championship contender? Stuff like that. Like if Philly gets them, does that elevate them above this team? This team, Brooklyn gets them, then that blows everybody out of the water, and they're pretty much the championship favorites next to the Lakers, right? So it's huge in the East to see where James Harden goes down, right? So I'm basing off right now what I see, right? But if James Harden gets traded to the East, you never know what's going to happen, right? So I've got Milwaukee number 1. It's kind of self-explanatory. Then Miami, even without James Harden, I think Miami's going to just take even more confidence. They're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder after losing to the Lakers last year. I definitely think Miami will be a top 2 seed in the East. And they got Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie. I don't care if Kyrie doesn't talk to the media. That's Kyrie's prerogative, right? I do think that Kyrie has that confidence that he needs, but he just goes about it the wrong way. But that's slandering media members, throwing LeBron under the bus and stuff like that. I do think there will be drama in Brooklyn, but I do definitely think that KD's talent and him being back on the court will eventually surpass all that drama, and they will finish with the top 3 seed in the East. Next, I have the Boston Celtics. I have Jason Tatum taking another step this year to elevate to real superstardom. I think Jason Tatum is just such a smooth player on the court. The way he can play, it's the way it's this whole thing. He's just smooth and silky, his game. And I think as he's getting more and more reps in the league, he's just going to get even better and better. I have Tatum averaging almost 30 points a game this year. I think Tatum's going to take that leap and become that truly elite scorer, that elite bucket getter in the NBA. Next, at the 5th seed, I have the Toronto Raptors. Yes, they lost Marc Gasol. They lost Serge Ibaka and stuff like that. But they still got Kyle Lowry. They still got Fred VanVleet. Pascal Siakam. We'll see what happens with him. And, of course, you have OG Anunoby. And I think they have one of the best coaches in the league in Nick Nurse. And they have that system where they'll be competitive regardless, right? So another thing with the Raptors is this, man. It's kind of proven that Pascal Siakam is not that lead dog, right? So reports were saying that Toronto's in on James Harden, right? If I'm Toronto, if I can get James Harden, you just traded for Kawhi Leonard 2 years ago, and you brought him in, you won a title, right? You saw what a superstar player would do for that roster, that team, elevate you to a championship team. I think if I'm Masai and I can get James Harden on a good deal, why not bring him in? He's a perennial MVP player, and if Toronto gets James Harden, Toronto's right back in it to be a league contender in the East again. Because right now I think I have them kind of a ring below the Milwaukees, the Miamis, and the Bostons. But if they get James Harden, they're back in there, maybe even better than them, right? So I got the Raptors at number 5, always going to be a solid playoff team there. Number 6, I have the team that everybody loves and wants to see break out, but they never do because they don't fit together well. And Doc Rivers is not going to fix that. It's the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers got Doc Rivers. It's still Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. They're hoping it all works out. It's not going to work out again. We've seen this before. These two guys will not work well together. They don't mesh well together, right? That's why you got to trade. If you had James Harden and Joel Embiid, I think that works better than Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, right? Because at least James Harden could shoot and they can stretch the floor better. Their spacing's all messed up, right? So I definitely think 76ers, again, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to tantalize everybody with their talent, but they're not going to be a championship team. And I see them getting bounced probably in the first round of the way it looks up right now by Brooklyn. Number 7, I have the Washington Wizards. I think the Wizards with Bradley Beal and formerly John Wall, Russell Westbrook now, they're going to be a playoff team in the East. That's what they're going to be, right? They're not going to be world beaters. They're not going to be championship contenders. They'll be a playoff team in the East. Westbrook will get his, Beal will get his, and they'll be a playoff team, right? I don't see anything more to discuss with the Wizards. The Pacers, again, are one of those teams that to the East, right? Like once you get to the bottom of the barrel of the East, then it's kind of pick and choose whatever happens. So Indiana will be there. They have a nice crew with Sabonis, Miles Turner. Hopefully Victor Oladipo comes back healthy and plays well. So we'll see that with the Pacers. Number 9, I have the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young. I really like what the Atlanta Hawks did. They got Bogdanovich. They got Trae Young. They got Zach Collins. They got not Zach Collins. Whatever his name is, Collins from the Hawks. And then they got, of course, Kevin Huerter. They got all these pieces. I like what the Hawks are doing. They got Rajon Rondo, right? So I think the Hawks might actually push to the playoffs. They're going to be in the 9th seed and really elevate themselves to potentially even greater pastures. And number 10, I'd be Orlando Magic. Orlando's kind of been around the playoff bubble the whole time, at least the last couple of years, so they'll still stick around there, right? My play-in winners, so I got the Wizards beating the Pacers in that 7-8 thing, 7-8 play-in round, so Wizards will take the 7 seed. And then I have Atlanta. Atlanta's going to beat Orlando, and they're going to beat Indiana just because I think Trae Young is ice Trae. He's going to get hot, and if Trae Young gets hot, he can win you games. Once he's on a roll, he's like that Steph Curry factor. Once he's on a roll, he can win you games and carry you games with that no problem, right? So I think Atlanta will sneak into the playoffs, no question, in my opinion, on the East. They'll get bounced in the first round regardless, but they're definitely going to be there. So what everybody wants to know is, who do I think is going to win the NBA title at this particular moment? So at this particular moment, one day before the season, with James Harden not being traded to anybody in the East or West, as the roster currently constituted right now, I have the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals, taking on the brand new upstart Brooklyn Nets. Yes, I have the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals, but I do have the Los Angeles Lakers going back-to-back because they have the best player in the world, the LeBron James, and he's going to win his 5th title. And I think he's going to beat Kevin Durant in the finals and beat Kyrie Irving, because that's going to be a huge storyline. And that'll be so crazy to see LeBron beating Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the finals. And it actually is quite handily. I just think the Lakers, I haven't seen anything from any other team yet or any moves yet from any team to say that, hey, you could knock the Lakers off. They are the champs for a reason. And to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? And until that happens, I'm going to roll with the Lakers because they have the best player in the world. They got younger. They got better, right? I can't go against the Lakers, right? Now, I think if a team like, for example, Miami got James Harden, then we're talking something different, right? But as the rosters are currently constructed, I see the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers meeting the NBA Finals, and the Lakers win the 2nd title in back-to-back years, and LeBron James will again win Finals MVP. Now, some other awards I want to talk about is, of course, most valuable player in the regular season. Like I told you a couple of weeks ago, it's Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard is going to take that step and really prove to everybody that he is one of the best scoring point guards this game has ever seen. He's going to average 35 points, lead the league in scoring. He's going to take the Blazers to a top 3 seed, and I think they're going to do damage in the playoffs. I think the way I see it is, unfortunately, the way it seeds up, they're going to have to play the Lakers in the second round, but I think they're going to destroy Golden State in the first round, the way I have it matched up. And I have Denver beating I have Denver and I have the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals again, because I have the Dallas Mavericks. This is another surprise. This is the biggest surprise, right? It's kind of diverted from my MVP, but yes, Dame will win MVP. As I told you guys before, Dame is going to just tear the league up this year, scoring wise, and lead the Blazers to a top 3 seed and prove to everybody he's a generational player. But my biggest surprise of the year is this: in the first round of the playoffs, the Los Angeles Clippers are going to get knocked out in 5 games by the Dallas Mavericks, causing, again, another one of the biggest off seasons again in Clipper history, where Kawhi Leonard is going to opt out of his deal and become a free agent, and he will not re-sign the Los Angeles Clippers after seeing playoff failures the last 2 years. And I think the Clippers will have to tear it all down again, because they are the Clippers and they're going to self-implode. And Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks will upset the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round of the playoffs, right? So that's kind of my biggest surprise of the season. I have the Clippers getting bounced in the first round of the NBA playoffs. My rookie of the year is going to be LaMelo Ball. Showtime is back in Charlotte. I think he's box office. We've seen in the preseason so far, his passes, the ways, the flair in his game and stuff like that. It gets the media's attention and it gets everybody out of their seats at home, because we're not obviously being fans in the arenas. But I have LaMelo winning Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to be the biggest star out of this draft. I've told you guys that before. I love LaMelo's game. His playmaking ability and stuff like that is off the charts, right? Of course, he's going to struggle offensively with a shot and a shot selection. Of course he is. I see, as most people, Anthony Edwards is going to struggle for the rest of his career, I think, because he doesn't have he has a skill set, but he doesn't have the love or drive for the game. That's not a problem with LaMelo. LaMelo loves the game of basketball, right? James Wiseman, I like James Wiseman, but I don't think he's got that superstar factor. He's going to be steady, right? I think like Obi Toppin's a nice guy, right? But I think LaMelo has superstar potential written all over him, and that's why I think that he's going to win Rookie of the Year, because he's going to put the flashiest plays, the biggest numbers, and he's going to bring Showtime to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Michael Jordan finally hits it on a draft pick after so many years, right? Sixth Man of the Year, I think Karis LeVert's going to win Sixth Man of the Year, just because essentially what it is whoever averages the most points, who comes off the bench, or who gets the most love coming off the bench. Karis LeVert's going to get the most love because he's going to play for the Brooklyn Nets. They're a pretty high-profile team, and he's going to average the most points coming off the bench. So Karis LeVert wins Sixth Man of the Year. No question about that. Defensive Player of the Year, I have Bam Adebayo winning Defensive Player of the Year. I think I love Bam's energy. I love his relentlessness. I love his style. I think Bam, he's still so young too. He's just only going to get better and better. But the way he's so athletic, the way he can guard multiple positions, I definitely think Bam will definitely take that step up and get the media's attention and win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Coach of the Year is going to be Mike Malone from Denver, because he's going to lead Denver to the best record in the NBA. And when you have the best record in the NBA, pretty much means you're going to win Coach of the Year, right? So I think that Mike Malone wins that. Now, this is the one I want to finish off on, the Most Improved Player of the Year, because I love this award, and it was so hard for me to pick. I had a guy like Jamal Murray. I definitely think he's going to become an all-star this year. I had other guys, whether that's, Zion I thought about. So many different options, right? Whoever it could be, but I'm going with this one. And again, the Ball Boys are going to take over the award show this year, in my opinion, and that's going to be Mr. Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is going to win Most Improved Player of the Year in the NBA this year, and it's finally going to stop all that hate on Lonzo Ball. And I think Lonzo Ball is finally going to prove all the doubters wrong, that he is a very, very good basketball player. I don't know if he's a superstar basketball player, but maybe a star to all-star level basketball player. People forget that Lonzo Ball shot 37% from three-point range last year, before the bubble. That's about average, right? After people say his shot is so broken and everything like that, okay, he still averaged 37% from three-point range, which is still quite pretty good considering what people say about him, right? Better than Ben Simmons for sure. Lonzo's also a great defensive player. I definitely could see Lonzo making all defensive team on point guard at a guard position one of these years upcoming. I think he's a long, rangy. He's got quick reflexes. He can get those steals, right? And we know what his passing is, man. We know he's a floor general. He's a quintessential floor general. So he's going to put the ball in the right positions for a guy like Zion and B.I. to let them do their work on the block, or B.I. in the mid-range, right? I think Lonzo will be able to knock down his shots. It's all about confidence. I think once he gets that confidence and once he starts running that offense in New Orleans, Zoe's going to be perfect. And plus, another thing is He's betting on himself this year. For all those rookies that got deals and stuff like that, Lonzo wasn't one of them. He's betting on himself to have a big year, just like Brandon Ingram did. Brandon Ingram, what did he do? He bet on himself. This going into this year, he won Most Improved Player and got paid. I think that happens to Lonzo again in New Orleans. I think he bets on himself and he has a really good year and he gets paid next season, right? And I think that finally ends with a slander for Lonzo Ball. So that's kind of the wraparound for my NBA predictions quickly and stuff like that, right? So there's a couple of different scenarios and stuff that could change. Of course, James Harden. That's one thing I did want to talk about quickly with James Harden before I go. So James Harden now, what do you think the best fit for him is? For me personally, I still think Philly's the best fit for James Harden. I don't know if that's going to happen, right? Because they don't want to trade Ben Simmons. Daryl Morey's been quite adamant they don't want to trade him. If it's not Philly, I think Toronto, man. Toronto would be a great fit for James Harden because they have that culture. And that's what James Harden needs. If you saw right now that all the reports coming out of Houston that he runs the franchise, it's his franchise, he dictates everything, right? I think having him a structure in Toronto where, Masai's there, Nick Nurse is there, tradition of winning, right? I definitely think that James Harden in Toronto or in Tampa Bay this year would be a great fit for them because if you can imagine him, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, of course, hard to give up Pascal Siakam, maybe OG Anunoby as well. I definitely think that could do some damage in the East, especially because the Raptors play small ball too, right? So I definitely think that James Harden in the East for the Raptors would definitely be a huge pick. Plus, who doesn't want to see James Harden Raptor red in Canada, right? But yeah, guys, that's it. That's my picks, my little predictions for the upcoming season. It's going to be crazy excited. It's going to be a great sprint to the finish. I'm super excited. And of course, you guys know where to keep it locked. Keep it locked to Process Sports for all your NBA content. Of course, I got football unlocked. We got the Super Bowl coming up. NHL's back. Sports is back, baby, and it's going to be exciting. I can't wait. But like I said, guys, have a happy holidays. I probably won't post another episode till next week, till after Christmas. So like I said, guys, I just want to wish you guys all happy holidays. Stay safe out there. Take care of your loved ones, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Remember, this will be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube. Check out me on my Instagram, all that fun stuff. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon.